Months, yes, just months, several months, but time flies when you're living off of Social Security. In 86 more checks. Your 86th check from now is going to be at your current benefit amount, obviously adjusted for COLA, but then your 87th check is going to be cut by 23%, and that's guaranteed. It might be sooner, might be a few months later, might be 25%, 30%, it might be 20%, but it's around those numbers. It depends what we do going forward. And the problem is we aren't doing anything to solve it. We haven't done anything in 40 years. Our politicians on both sides, people keep complaining, hey, how come you always attack the current president? Well, because he's the current president. I attacked the previous president, Biden. For the past 40 years, politicians on both sides, Republican, Democrat, left, right, liberal, conservative, they haven't done anything to solve the issue of Social Security and to make sure the cuts are not going to happen in the future. None of them have done anything substantially to do it. Why? Because we haven't made them. I did a video a few days ago was talk about the Epstein files. And it's like, oh my gosh, the politicians finally got together, unanimously decided to actually do something. Oh my gosh, politicians can actually do something, except for one guy. So that proves that with the right incentives, AKA their jobs, they are able to do something. But for 40 years, we have not made them fix Social Security. And one of the main reasons we haven't is because we keep falling for all their lies and their distractions. And one of the big ones is, well, everything is good. It was just the money was stolen. The money was stolen, and you'll call up the politician and say, I heard the Social Security trustees and the Congressional Budget Office and the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget all agree that everybody that receives Social Security is going to get cut by 20, 23, 24, 25% in a few years. Is that true? Yes, that is 100% true if we don't do anything. Okay, why don't we do something? And then the politicians will say, well, you know what the deal is? The money was stolen. Or it was given to undocumented immigrants, which I talked about a while ago, that Social Security, you cannot get benefits if you're undocumented. I know because I've taken hundreds of thousands of claims when I worked at Social Security. You have to provide your legal status in the United States, citizenship, green card, needs to be checked through the SAVE system. There's so many different ways to stop. Do one or two people, slip through the system every now and then? Yes, they get caught. A lot of people are working under fake Social Security numbers that are not in the country legally, but they are paying into Social Security. And a lot of people that just, get cash. But anyway, I've talked about that several times, but today let's talk about that that myth, that internet myth about all of the money that was stolen. And all you have to do is look at the Social Security. The trustees do a report every single year, and they do an audit, and all you have to do is read it every year. And this is the brand new one that came out. And it said, let me make this smaller so we can see it here. And we've also got a really, really good story. Our awesome community, another success. We just found an extra $2,000 a month for one of our viewers because of y'all, because you shared, liked, subscribed, did all that stuff. And someone was able to see one of our videos and they said, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could get those benefits. And they called Social Security and they got their first check. They were getting $1,500. Now they've got some more. So it's a beautiful thing. That's because of y'all. All right. So the Social Security, this is the Social Security Trustees report. Every year they come out with this report. So this is for 2024. And I'm also going to talk about where this all started. The whole internet myth, well, started before the internet. The myth started during the LBJ, the Johnson administration in the late 60s because of the Vietnam War. But in terms of money being stolen, it's not stolen. It's all there. As we used to say in the Marine Corps, all present or accounted for. All present and or accounted for. Usually a lot louder voice, but I'll tone myself back a little bit. So in 2023, at the end of 2023, we had old age and survivors insurance. We had $2.6 trillion in the bank, in treasury funds. Yes, those are treasury funds. By law, they have to buy special issue treasury bonds. They can't put it in a chock full of canned nuts, or give it to Bank of America or anything like that. They have to put it in the safest investment in the world. It is the safest investment in the world. All countries, Warren Buffett, your 401k, your thrift savings plan, or whatever, you probably have something treasury bills. And so that's the safest investment in the world. Interest rates are not great, but that's, comes with safety. So we got 2.6 trillion. And then income for 2024 was FICA taxes came 1.1 trillion came in. There's the key right there. They always say follow the money, right? The key for all of this is to follow the money. Why do politicians don't want to fix Social Security? Why do they want it to go away? Because they want to give that money to Wall Street, their buddies at Wall Street. And why do they want to give that money to their buddies at Wall Street? What does Wall Street want? Well, obviously, they want that $1.2 trillion coming in every year through FICA taxes. When you pay your FICA taxes, they want that money to be invested with them so they can make commissions, so they can do the old heads I win, tails you lose type stuff. When they make a lot of money for us, they take huge commissions. And when they lose a lot of money for us, then they still get their commissions. So yeah, it's like a scene at Eddie Murphy in Trading Places. But anyway, so $1.1 trillion comes in a FICA. And guess what? $63 billion interest. Interest? What do you mean interest? Well, yeah, when you put your money into a bank, they give you interest. Not much, but they give you interest. Same thing. When we put money into these treasury bills, we get interest. Hey, if you need help with Medicare, Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements, Part D plans, make sure you reach out to my partners at Chapter Medicare. I looked for a place that would help you all out, and Chapter Medicare knocked it out of the park. They've got excellent customer service. They look at every single plan in your area, and their help is always 100% free. Give them a call, and they'll see if they can help you out, and tell them Dr. Ed said hi. And we get that money paid back, and we'll get to that here in a second. And then there's also taxation of benefits. So when you people, about 40 to 50% of the lower income people do not pay taxes on Social Security. The president keeps saying that there's no taxes on Social Security based on the one big beautiful bill. That is 100% incorrect. He just added a deduction in there, but you still, if you have to pay taxes on Social Security, you have to pay taxes on Social Security. But that's where that money comes from. If you pay taxes on Social Security, it goes to the IRS, and the IRS hands it over to the Social Security, and Social Security puts it in the trust fund. So $54 billion go into the trust fund from people paying taxes on Social Security. Okay, which I believe people shouldn't have to pay taxes on Social Security, but that's a whole different issue. All right, so that's how much came in 2024. How much went out? Well, benefit payments, $1.3 trillion went out, and then 4.9 administrative expenses, which is super, super small. If they privatize Social Security, that's going to be probably the CEO of, Social Security Advantage plan. That's probably going to be his or her yearly salary. And then, the administrative expenses, if we decide to privatize Social Security, is probably going to be 10, 50 times that. Anyway, and then there's also this railroad thing that I won't get into. Railroad has a separate thingy. But anyway, so this is how much went out. Total cost, 1.32. Total incomes, 1.22. Do the math. More went out than came in. More went out. So what's going to cover that gap? The trust fund. The trust fund. So right there, the reserve, net change in reserves. We had 2.6. We paid out more than what we got in. So we had to dip into our savings, AKA the trust fund. We had to cash in some of those treasury bills. And we cashed in $103 billion. So if you received a Social Security check in 2024, if you're receiving a Social Security check right now, about 10% of your Social Security check comes from that trust fund that supposedly has been stolen. It ain't stolen because you're getting 10%. And people think, oh, it's all fake money. It's, well, all money is digital nowadays. So I guess in one respect, it's all fake money, right? But if you're getting a check, 10% of that is from the trust fund. And if you believe the trust fund is fake money, it's all, empty IOUs, then put your money where your mouth is. I always say, take 10% of your Social Security check and give it away, because you don't think that's real money. Give it to the local animal shelter or the homeless shelter or whoever you want to give it to. give 10%, and then send us a receipt, email us a receipt, come on here in one of our live Q&As and show, okay, I don't believe that money is real money, so I put my money where my mouth is and I gave up 10% because it's not real money. Those people will enjoy that money because they believe it's real money. So this is where this money actually is. It is there, and one of the reason this myth started is LBJ getting into the Vietnam War, and he was trying to hide the costs of the Vietnam War. So in order to do that, had to play an accounting trick. Up until that time, you had two different budgets. You had the regular full government budget, and then you had a Social Security budget, the Social Security money, the Social Security pool. And at that time, the Social Security pool had a whole bunch of extra money on it. So he had this genius idea of saying, well, this one has a whole bunch of debt, and this one has a whole bunch of extra money. If we consolidate those two into a unified budget, it'll look like the debt is less, and then people won't catch on how much we're spending on the Vietnam War. So it was just an accounting trick. It wasn't stolen. They just, it's kind of like, well, in our house here, we got a lot of debt, but the next door neighbors, they're really rich. Let's go ahead and unify the budget. So we'll add theirs in there. We're not stealing for them or anything, it's still a separate house, but we're just kind of playing accounting games. And it's like, so that's the situation. It was just a unified budget. The money wasn't stolen or anything like that. The money is going out. The reason the budget is decreasing every year, the reason why we're going to be getting a 23% cut in a few years is because so much money is no longer paying into Social Security. This is the key to all of it right here. It's not because we're having less babies or anything like that. That could be one solution, but the other solution is the reason the regular people, aren't paying that much into Social Security is because we're not making that much money. This bottom blue line here is basically our average real wages adjusted for inflation since the 1980s. It's pretty much stayed stagnant. Our productivity has gone up. So when productivity goes up, we produce more stuff. You figured we'd make more money. No, hasn't happened. Productivity goes up. Who's making all the money? Guess what? The top 10%. And they don't pay into Social Security like we do. They pay Social Security tax, the FICA tax, up to $176,100. After that, they no longer pay Social Security FICA tax. So if we were making that money, then Social Security would be around, we wouldn't get a cut for another 75 years at least. But the reason is, it's because the money is going to the top. They're not paying Social Security. If it was going to us, we'd pay Social Security and Social Security would be good, but it ain't. So hopefully we've put that particular one to bed. The money isn't stolen, wasn't stolen. It's there. It's just running out, just like with any savings program. So we need to do something to fix it, to make sure. In order to do that, we have to be serious. And when politicians start telling us all this BS about, oh yeah, it was stolen, I'm still looking for it. They've been looking for it for 20 years. And they say, oh yeah, it was stolen, I'm looking for it. As soon as I find it, I'll make sure they put it back into the trust fund and you won't get a cut. So, just hold on. I'm close to it. I've got my Sherlock Holmes hat and I'm still looking for it, but they never seem to find it because it wasn't stolen. So. All right, let's get into some live Q&As, and then we've got some video questions as well. So if you need help on all things Social Security, retirement, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, this is the place. All right, Paul asks, I was informed that although my current PPO insurance has been terminated, a supplemental plan G premium would be approximately $1,900 a month. I'm 59, is that correct? Yeah, that sounds probably correct for you because you are in a state that does not mandate those Medicare companies, the Medicare supplement plan, to offer. Well, actually, you're in one of the states that's a little bit lucky. So there are certain states that said, okay, you have to provide a Medicare supplement plan to anybody, even those people under 65. As they have to be on Medicare Part A and Part B. So there's just a few states that do that. And there's other states that says, okay, you have to offer Medicare supplement plans to people under 65, but we don't care which plans you offer and how much you charge. That's no big deal. You're in one of those states. And then there's other states that said, yeah, you don't have to offer them. So if you were in another state, you wouldn't even be able to get a Plan G or a Plan N or any Medicare supplement because you're under the age of 65. So you're in one of those middle states where they say, oh yeah, we'll let you get it, but we're going to charge you, $24,000 a year. So I'm sure that's out of your wheelhouse because you're receiving SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. And there's about 1 million people that have had their PPO plans changed, and have terminated, because they've had their PPO plans terminated, you probably got that letter that says you now have a guaranteed issue. You can get a Plan G or a Plan F if you were eligible for Part B prior to January 1st, 2020. But you're able to get a Plan G without any health underwriting, so they cannot deny you. But the problem is they can charge you whatever they want because that's how your state politicians have decided. This particular issue is a state issue. So if you can't swing the 1900, which, now you know how all those people in the Affordable Care Act, are feeling right now. They're just, in your particular case, you can just go ahead and get another Medicare Advantage plan. Find another Medicare Advantage plan in your area that gets your doctors and all that kind of stuff. If you're one of the millions of people out there that are on this type of boat that had their Affordable Care Act jacked up like that, 300 or 400%, then yeah, they're just going to refuse health coverage completely and roll the dice and hope for the best and make the emergency room their primary care physician, which is the worst possible system. And this is orchestrated when they got rid of the mandate, and they've been trying to, repeal and just cut it. And so the people that have wanted to destroy the Affordable Care Act are doing a phenomenal job destroying it. It's unfortunate. So yeah, but there's one of the good things is once you turn 65, then if you still want a Medicare supplement plan at that time, then you can go ahead and get a Medicare supplement plan because you're getting it based on being 65 years old. So they cannot deny you at 65 and they cannot charge you that outrageous price. So ask, whoever you talk to, if you want to call chapter, to find a new Medicare Advantage plan, just say, hey, let's say if I was 65, how much it would have cost in my particular state. And they might say, oh, in your state, for right now, we still got, 6 years. But for right now, it costs $120. And you're like, oh, okay. Now I know hopefully what it's going to look like in a few years when you turn 65. So let's see what else we got here. I'm new. Welcome, Miss Wendy Lee. How are you? I'm new. So you're now part of the community. So that means you got to go out there and help as many people on